So it turns out when you pick a toy to review as a last-minute change of plans, you can sometimes, occasionally, review the exact same toy you already gave a full detailed review of 5 years ago. I honestly thought I had searched my channel to see if I had done it or not, and I kinda... yeah. I'm chalking it up as an experiment to see how my views of a toy have changed over the last 5 years of doing this. So, okay, it's a little thought experiment. I'll just put that aside. I was going to do something tonight to make it up to you, but, yeah, I've got family in town. My time has been really crunched lately, so I'm kind of just flying off the seat of my pants right now. So, instead, we'll do that next week, and right now, we will take a look at, well, of course, the toy right before you. This is movie Big Daddy. In 2007, someone at Hasbro actually had the gall to not only make an homage to one of the silliest of Micromasters, but also actually give it the right name. This was 2007, when BioShock was just, claiming Big Daddy as their own geek moniker. But you know what? I don't care. I love that they actually thought to do this. This is a repaint of Cybertron Downshift, the toy that kind of looked like Wheeljack, but kind of wasn't, and kind of based on Energon Downshift, who really was supposed to be Wheeljack, and this is the part where my head starts to pound and throb a little bit. It is weird. As you can see, it is an old-school muscle car, somewhere around 60s, 70s in style. I'm not a car person, I'm guessing. And I'm sure the car people in the comments are poking out, where that type of bumper and grille are coming from, the vinyl top, and what car the taillights came off of, etc., etc. So I would say if you're interested in that, look up TF Wiki or just check the comment thread. Someone knows about these things. It is jet black all over, and it looks quite good. It's a very nice contrast from the original, which was green and black, but kept things like this top as black, as this is actually molded. You can actually see it in the reflection of the light, with a bit of a rough surface to it to give it the look of a vinyl top to the car. I actually really like that detail. That's a little subtle touch they didn't really have to do, but it adds a little bit of uniqueness to the car. The paint apps are largely the flame job down the sides, which is signature of Big Daddy. Looking quite good. I like how they actually work the hinge right into the molding. It doesn't quite match the paint, but it's a clever use of that piece that would typically be a different color. So bravo to them. Well designed. You can also see the trim has been done up in silver, which goes all the way to the bumper and the grille. The translucent plastic is kind of a slight yellow, slight greenish yellow tint. It's got a much older glass look to it, which again plays up the older car look. You can see it in the windshields as well. All around, quite good. I like the tail lights too. I like that they actually painted in the brake lights. And then you have the movie-style Autobot symbol in the front. If you're actually wondering what the difference is, you can usually tell it in the eyes. The eyes are a little bit meaner looking, and they're at sharper angles on the Autobot version, the movie version of the Autobot symbol. So if you're looking for a difference, that's usually where to go. So all in all, not bad. You can also see this is back when these toys were rock solid, man. This is a brick of a toy, and in a good way. Like, even on the underside, you can see they still had time and actually took the effort to mold in all of the suspension and the axle. That's kind of cool. And you can look, from the underside, it's hard to tell it would even transform. It's so solid under here. So, nice, solid toy. Now, for play options in this mode, well, you can use Eel Cyberkey, which on these Walmart exclusive releases were all just translucent with silver paint on the faction symbol. I like the Cyberkey slot on this toy because it folds up from the rear windshield. That way it's nice and out of the way, but when you need it, you can actually pull it up as needed. Pushing it in unleashes a Capture Claw style weapon from the front, transforming from the grill. You can see it's a pretty mean, Twisted Metal-esque weapon for an Autobot, with teeth on the claws and some kind of taser thing in the front. This has always been kind of a weird design for an Autobot to have. Now, as you can imagine, the gimmick does take up quite a bit of space in the toy, but credit where credit is due. Gimmick all the way from here to here, and parts of this are going to transform away from that. So it's a pretty involved gimmick, all things considered. Just for the, and it really, you'll see, doesn't impede the Transformer quite as much as you would think. Though, well, I'll explain when we get there. We also can make use of these holes on the back to peg in these massive rocket launchers the toy actually comes with. Pair of them, actually. And I kind of like the look of this in a weird way. Again, we're kind of going Twisted Metal with the aesthetic here, but it kind of works. Like this big solid missile launchers on this big rock solid vehicle. It kind of plays out pretty well. Like, I don't mind it so much. I even kind of like how the switches on the buttons to activate the launch actually do have that kind of old school fin look to them. So it actually kind of plays up to the car aesthetic. Of course, the two bright orange missiles, they would be hard to lose if you do fire them off, but they will not be fired off in this review because everyone knows when you fire off a missile and you're not paying attention to where it goes, you're doomed to repeat things you did 5 years ago and then regret it forever. So we will not be doing that. See, I shouldn't have fired off that missile. I shouldn't have fired off that missile as a lame joke because I suffered for it. I entered Groundhog's Day accidentally. Let's get this guy transformed. So, we pull these big blocks out, and these big blocks have, whoa, little stuck, happen to be his arms, so we'll go ahead and fold them out, fold down like so, and need a little catch here to flip out the fists, have fingernails ready. For this section, we need to unpeg. You'll notice there weren't any pegs holding it in. Look how tight that was, and there really wasn't any peg holding it in place. The only pegs, like really the only ones that actually like peg in the traditional way is that one, or these two, which peg in there, and this tab here, which will form up the pelvis and the midsection of the toy. That's pretty much it. Like, everything else is just nice and firm, and just move it where it's supposed to go, and it stays there. Nice, solid construction. I miss this level of construction. I miss this era of toy. You know, there are times I really wish, you know, like we could go back. Like, if I wish I had a Cybertron toy left that I had not purchased, so I could go back and like experience one of these toys again. Now, with that out of the way, we move this down and spring out the head. And as such, we have our deluxe Big Daddy. Our Micromaster homage, one of the few Micromasters we are allowed to homage because his name is silly. And again, we show a lot more extra detail. He is very timely with Halloween coming up, being mostly jet black and orange. Quite nice. You know, it's a good color scheme for a reason. It kind of plays. So, I kind of gave you a look at the head already, but we'll go ahead and take another look. It's kind of hard to get quite a good look at this because, well, for starters, my lights aren't set up correctly. You can definitely tell it is supposed to be a Wheeljack style head. You can see the multi-layered mouthpiece as well as the translucent ears sticking out the side. Though the plastic has been left a very light color, so the ears are very easy not to notice, especially against the bright helmet of Big Daddy. Though I will admit, with the blue face and the orange helmet, he kind of comes across a little bit Optimus Primal, a little bit Optimal Optimus. So, the plastic is very select. It's meant to disguise the ears. I'm kind of amazed. Like, you could have just like taken the ears, like not even included the ears in the assembly process, and it probably still would have worked out just fine and looked exactly like Big Daddy. Well, not exactly, but you get the idea. So, As movie aesthetics go, of course, he does not fit in the movie line. He was repainted as a Walmart exclusive along with a bunch of other Cybertron toys. Not that I minded, it was more Cybertron toys to buy. And I do quite like this color scheme more than I do Downshift. Downshift is kind of typical. They tried to do something new, retain the character of Energon Downshift without infringing on Wheeljack anymore, but I don't know. This just has a little bit more heritage to it. It's got a little bit more personality. So we saw the head with the kind of lavenderish faceplate in the orange. We also see a lot of silver on the shoulders. I like the angle that they painted this into. It gives it a nice solid look and makes the shoulders like stand out, especially like looking from the front where it all kind of goes from shoulder to shoulder with this bridging the gap. Much more solid piece. I like it. You can see there's not a whole lot of new paint added, but a ton more orange exposed, all in molded plastic through the hips and the midsection as well as the hands. The only extra paint you're going to see is on the kneecaps and on the feet, and it's just a little bit of extra silver for you. They left a lot of the details that got painted on Downshift got left out here, which I don't really mind. To its benefit, it does help distinguish the two of them. Though it does look weird just seeing this one by itself and wonder, well, you got these big molded sections, you'd think a little bit of paint would help, things like that. But for the most part, it does all right for what it is. So, and you'll see, well, I like the engineering. There's very little backpack to him. And of course, that's the backpack that kind of went into the gimmick. This is the, again, like, even if Cybertron has, like, in Armada, like, something like that would take up the entire toy and ruin everything. But here, it's all kept in this nice little chunk in the chest, which form-wise might be my one distraction. It sticks out a long way, and while it might be a traditional look for an Autobot, it does stick out pretty far. It's pretty noticeable that it's just a huge hunk of plastic making up his torso. I had to prefer it to be a little bit smaller somehow. I don't know how, but there you go. Articulation-wise, see, the head is on this weird spring thing, so there really isn't much play to it. No actual neck articulation. Well, though it looks like it could, but the head does not come up far enough to give the neck any kind of clearance. Shoulders rotate up and down. There's also a hinge outwards, so you do have a universal range with the two together. No bicep rotation, but you do get a 90-degree elbow. No wrist articulation, so that's about it for the arms. No waist articulation. This is getting worse as I go. Ball-jointed hips. Hey, we got that. And they are packing a pretty good range. A rotation just below the knee as well as a 90-degree knee. And then no rocking of the feet in any directions. So yeah, he's solid in more ways than one. He's got a lot of brick element to him, unfortunately. But he doesn't do too bad a job posing. Cybertron's seen much better, but I have seen much worse. It's not bad, like, especially for a mold that was, like, exclusive to America. Unless it was done in a US release, this is one of those few that just never went to Japan in any way, shape, or form. Now, you want to talk engineering. You want to talk the good engineering of the Cybertron toy line. We can flip this thing back up. I can put this key back in its slot, and the key gimmick still works. Of course, this does make his chest even bigger, but give the designers immense credit. The gimmick itself transforms, and still it retains all of its function. That's really cool. Beyond that, we can mount his missile launchers in his hands, which would be typical, but look a little bit, goofy. Or we can utilize the extra clips that are actually on them and latch them to his shoulders, like so. Give him a much more heavily armed look. I kind of prefer it this way. I really do. So, I will also mention, just because it is worth mentioning, both the pegs on top as well as the pegs over here are actually Minicon ports. So if you want to attach a Minicon in vehicle or robot mode, you can do so through use of his weapons, which I liked when Cybertron remembered, oh hey, we still have those little guys running around. But that, in a nutshell, is the movie universe version of Big Daddy. Amusing name, and that is why we tend to remember him, but he does end up being one of the more interesting, more talkative figures. It is a big, solid chunk of a robot, big, solid chunk of a vehicle, and while it might lack in the articulation department, I love how much character this toy has in both modes, the old school car as well as just how bright and vibrant he manages to be despite being mostly jet black in molding. And yeah, there's just something about something called Big Daddy with these gigantic shoulder missiles going through that's going to make a pretty imposing Autobot. So he's got his faults, got his big chest, he's got his low articulation, but I managed to like him well enough. So, all that done, tune in to Random Review next week where I talk about Armada Hotshot. Man, all the years I've been doing this, I can't believe I've never talked about that toy before.